With Star Trek Picard set to premiere on January 23rd, fans are either excited at the return of the beloved captain, worried that he will be a shadow of his former next-gen self, or some sort of combination of the two. And with comments recently that the new Picard show is a response to the world of Brexit and Trump, fans are understandably skeptical on what we are about to see. But regardless of how you feel about the new show, the one thing that everyone can enjoy is seeing some of our favorite Star Trek characters returning to reprise their roles on the new show. So let's break down who we know is returning with Picard, who we think might join the show, and why some other characters you want to see won't be back. You aren't going to want to miss this one.
I must object to this course of action.
The objection is noted.
If you are new to our channel, take a second to subscribe. And stay tuned until the end of the video so you can see a new Picard-inspired graphic design from the amazing artists at mixtease.com.
So, what's next? I don't know.
Nothing brings fans out of the woodwork faster than being able to continue their favorite stories and learn more about their favorite characters. And in the case of Star Trek, Jean-Luc Picard, played by legend Sir Patrick Stewart, was a logical choice to revisit. Not only is he the most beloved Star Trek character according to Ranker.com, The Wrap, and Cinema Blend, but at 79, Patrick Stewart's age perfectly lines up with the story of a retired Picard. And if we're going to finish his story, it's now or never. And if you followed the news on Picard since CBS announced they were creating the show, then you remember the disappointment that came when we learned the story would not include other characters from the next generation. That is, until Comic-Con San Diego 2019, when the first Picard trailer dropped, and we were all shell-shocked when at 1 minute and 42 seconds into the trailer, 7 of 9's face popped up on the screen. And if that wasn't enough to get your motor going, at the end of the trailer, Picard says he doesn't want the game to end. And without warning, we are looking at Commander Data, and he answers him. It was at that moment, any sort of intrigue at the idea of a new solo Picard TV show was transformed into excitement. And while that may have been a cautious excitement as a result of a lack of trust by many fans, unsure if CBS could handle Picard's story under a new regime, it was excitement nonetheless. Then, CBS dropped another fan bombshell at New York Comic-Con during its second trailer, where we see a domesticated William Riker at home with his wife Deanna Troi, and at least one daughter from what we could tell. And then there was a shot of Jonathan Del Arco, who played the Borg Hugh. So much for this show not being chock full of our favorite Star Trek characters, right? Well, perhaps not. During his panel appearance at Star Trek Las Vegas, Brent Spiner went out of his way to explain that while he was delighted to be a part of the show, he is not a regular on the show. Then when asked what it was like working with people on the set of Picard, he said that up until this point, he had only worked with Patrick Stewart on the set. This confirmed what many people had already thought about Data either being a part of a flashback or maybe a dream sequence. And with subsequent trailers, it started to seem that perhaps CBS had pulled a fast one and was using our favorite characters as a lure to get people excited about the new show. Were we only getting cameo appearances? They wouldn't do that, would they? Yes, they would. But a little sugar in your coffee is better than no sugar at all, right? And who knows, after a few sips, you might realize that's all the sugar your coffee needed. Okay, for you non-coffee drinkers, it's very possible that many of our favorite characters that are close to Picard, like Data, Riker, and Troi, will only be in the first couple episodes of the series. We could see showrunners doing this to give us familiarity and time to get comfortable with the new characters who will actually be carrying the show. And this news shouldn't come as a big surprise, since Patrick Stewart and Alex Kurtzman have been consistent in their explanations that this is a new show and a new tone for Picard surrounded by a new cast and will not be a return to the next generation. If you want to know why we aren't getting a continuation of the next generation or how Picard's new show was born, we'll be taking you on that journey in our next 2 videos, so make sure you hit the bell so you are notified as soon as they launch. We'll be shedding light on a lot of unanswered questions. So, while Data, Riker, and Troy might only be serving on the fringes of the series, clips from the trailers seem to indicate both 7 of 9 and Hugh are deep into the action of the series and involved in some sort of mission. But are they series regulars? Jerry Ryan's 7 of 9 will likely play a bigger role than most of the other Star Trek alums in the show. She was consistent about the fact that 7 of 9's story was finished and the character had been explored. She was once asked if we'd ever see 7 of 9 the housewife, and she said, "I don't want to see that." Ryan even turned down an offer to appear in the 2002 movie Star Trek Nemesis because she didn't feel there was a good enough reason for her to be in that film. But when she learned what they had planned for 7 and Picard, she said she just couldn't turn it down. So expect our favorite Borg character to play a deeper, more pivotal role in Picard, especially with what people are expecting to be a Borg storyline for the first season. This is further confirmed with the return of Jonathan Del Arco, who plays Hugh, Star Trek's first Borg to feel a taste of independence from the collective. Del Arco's Hugh character was in the 1992 episode I, Borg and the 1993 episode Descent Part 2. Ironically, Del Arco also made an appearance in the Star Trek Voyager episode The Void in 2001 as an unrelated character to Hugh. The last time we see Hugh, he is the leader of a Borg drone underground and still loyal to Picard and his crew. In Picard, Hugh's human appearance appears to be restored, but he still bears the marks of assimilation. During the second trailer, we see Hugh with Picard and Dahj as he seems to be leading them out of a facility in what could be an escape. The uniform Hugh is wearing is identical to the ones being worn by scientists in the Romulan facility, which would indicate that Hugh is heavily involved in whatever is going on, so we can expect him to be a big part of Season 1. And while we won't see him in Season 1, we do know that Robert Picardo, who played the Doctor on Star Trek Voyager, has been asked to be a part of Season 2 of Picard. This leads us to believe 7 will likely also be in Season 2, as it's hard to imagine any return of the Doctor without 7 being involved in some way. And there may be a couple of other surprises based on what we've seen in the previews. While we don't expect Robert Beltran to reprise his role as Chakotay, did we just see his death in the previews? Or perhaps that was Icheb. What other man could 7 be this emotionally connected to? Perhaps it's none of the above. According to a conversation between Neelix and 7 of 9 during the episode 1159 in Season 5 of Star Trek Voyager, 7 can procreate if she so chooses. And it does seem like the dying person she is holding is much younger than her. We are going to assume this is 7's son, and probably has something to do with why she is willing to help Picard. Is there anyone else we can expect to see? There does appear to be a Locutus flashback in the trailers, so expect to see Picard struggling with his past at least during the first part of the series. But aside from that, there may be more Star Trek Next Generation surprises for us to come.
Who are you?
During a panel on the Television Critics Association January 12th, Stewart, sitting with all of his co-stars and producers, told the audience it is his hope that whenever the series wraps, we will have encountered all of the principal actors from the Next Generation. A man who recently seems to say whatever's on his mind. Does Patrick Stewart know something we don't? Could we see Beverly Crusher, Geordie LaForge, or Wesley Crusher? It seems to be a possibility, if not this season, perhaps in seasons to come. The show is already guaranteed a Season 2, and time will tell. If we do see Wesley, he won't have to go far. Will Wheaton, who played the young Crusher, will be hosting a Trek after show for Picard called
Shut Up, Wesley.
Wheaton was hired to host the show, which will air after each episode of Picard. The show will break down each episode, and Wheaton will be able to offer a unique perspective considering his past history on Next Gen. But what about Worf? CBS squashed rumors in September that Michael Dorn would be returning as Worf when an autographed clapboard appeared with his name on it during filming near the Vasquez Rocks outside of Los Angeles. The location is also where they filmed the famous battle between Captain Kirk and the Gorn. While it was explained he was on location for other reasons, could CBS be trying to hide a surprise from us? One character that we would be remiss to mention, of course, is the Enterprise. Will we see the Enterprise during Picard? No one is saying, but it would be a great moment for Star Trek fans. Would the ship still be around? It's been 20 years since we saw the Enterprise E and Nemesis about to get a refit. But considering Kirk's Enterprise was in service for 3 decades, and Enterprise B, who had its maiden voyage during Generations, was still in service almost 100 years later, there's no reason why Enterprise E can't still be in commission during Picard. But if the showrunners wanted to throw fans a nostalgia bone and create a newer design for the Enterprise, perhaps it could be the Enterprise F? It remains to be seen if we see the Enterprise at all, but we think they'll be hard-pressed not to give us some idea as to what the current Enterprise is up to. And of course, finally the character we all want to see on Picard, Q. John Delancey reprising his role as the godlike master of chaos for the next generation. Showrunners will likely steer clear of Q's interruptions, but we can hope that perhaps when Jean-Luc Picard leaves the show, Q will whisk him away and offer him a spot in the Q continuum, giving our beloved captain eternal life. I mean, hey, they offered it to Riker. And what about Picard's dog number 1? Will he get left behind at the Vineyard, or will Picard take him along Jonathan Archer style? Did we miss any of your favorites? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And check out this graphic design at mixtease.com, as well as their other Star Trek-inspired designs. Get 20% off your purchase by using coupon code ThePopcast. The link is in the description below. Don't want this video to end? Visit us at the Popcast Live YouTube channel to learn all of the behind the scenes on this video and others. Until next time.
Shut up, Wesley.